Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are social creatures. Communication is so key in everything that we do, including our professional lives. And when that communication goes wonky, if you will, we have challenges. How do you engage? How do you deal with people you deal with professionally that resist communication? How do you break through the clutter? She helps entrepreneurs, top earners in national companies, all of this, all the time, make that communication connection as a consultant, as a coach. And she's back with us. Debra Rothschild joins us here today. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm wonderful. Thank you. And yourself?
I'm well. I'm well. You have proven strategies for a lot of different things. We talked last time we got together about presentation skills. Today, centering on communication, which is so key. And I find that a lot of people I talk to are almost afraid to engage fully in communication with clients and others because they run by well, no news is good news. So why should I engage? Or let me just wait on that. Let me just wait till something's up. Obviously, the wrong way to attack the situation. But communication and a broad view of all of this, what are your thoughts?
Well, every day, today, actually, a marriage is going to fail. A friendship is going to go down the tubes, and someone's going to lose business because there was a lack of communication. And I think what I see is that, God made men so different than women. So, you guys are so visual. You get that picture thought in your head, and women, we love to talk. We're so auditory. So I think when you've got those oppositions, many times people don't know how to communicate. And furthermore, they don't understand that if they don't communicate correctly, something's going to fail, someone's going to lose. And, I'm all about winning.
I'm going to give you a scenario and want your take on it. And this happened to a colleague literally yesterday. So has a client cut back a little bit. Didn't seem like anything was on the radar of the economy. It's like that. So there's some changes here and there. And they said, let's revisit it. They cut back last fall and said, let's revisit it in February. So he said, I connected with them along the way. And then February came, engaged them again, showed them where we are in terms of my performance for them, and continue to engage with them and said, yeah, I'd like to get together. I'd like to just see where we're at, see how your business is going, talk about some new ideas. They wouldn't follow up. He would send a text because they connected personally like that. Emails. They started not paying their bills on time. And then he gets an email yesterday and they said, well, it's been great working with you. We're going a different direction. Thank you very much. Tell us what we owe you. He said he made the attempt. He was trying to connect with them, but it's almost as if they were already looking in another direction by that point. Your overall thoughts? Did he handle it well? Did he do the best in the way I'm telling this to communicate with them? Was it a loss anyway? You're never going to get it back. It's almost as if, the marriage was already over. You didn't know it, and then they moved on. Your thoughts?
Well, maybe it's over and maybe it's not because, anybody can circle around at any given time and come back. So,
Sure.
It's not over yet. So, I think people have to carry clients in their backpack. I think that's how close we have to keep them. And if the scenario that you just shared, if the dude did that, he did it right, then there were other things going on behind the scene that was not communicated to him.
Yes.
Henceforth, he can't give the feedback.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of things happen behind closed doors. I mean, we don't read people's minds. And let's face it, when we're negotiating and we're wanting to get people to move from point A to point B, if they're not 100% honest with us, we don't read crystal balls, then it's not your buddy's fault.
Yeah.
Somebody else was ready, and somebody else was courting them, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
So it's like, they already probably started a conversation, then beginning of a relationship, and then, hey, I can beat that. And all of a sudden, this person bailed. Well, you know what? God bless them. And your buddy can just go find somebody new. And I would not drop that relationship. I'd touch base with them and might circle back around.
I agree. And I just remembered one thing he did say. He was with them for 6 years. He said a couple of years ago, they wanted to implement some newer technology and it's medically connected. And he said, in order to do that, there would be HIPAA challenges. We can do it, but it's going to be very costly. And they were kind of pushing back on the cost. But now you fast forward to now, things are different, even in a few years, in terms of vendors and services to get that cost down, to get the same performance, all of that. It appears from what he's telling me that the company, his client, pivoted over to another company to get that done. He didn't have any opportunity. Yes, I don't want to say that he said no previously. He just let them know you can do that. I can handle it for you, but it's going to be costly. And what he told me, it looks like that they spent a lot of money in terms of what they're doing right now, and they could have done it even more cost effectively if they continued with him. But it sounds like and he's honest that he communicated, he tried along the way. But like to your point, I think they were already being courted, or they were connected with somebody else, and shiny object syndrome kind of intervened there at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it happens every day. I had a client some years ago that wanted to kind of step out of her realm, and they were going to try all different types of new marketing things that, by the way, I really wasn't familiar with. I didn't want to take the time to go study it. And I said, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Well, Deborah, we've worked with you for a couple of years. We're going to go try this. And I said, the door is welcome. If I can do anything for you in the future. And lo and behold, 36 months later, the phone rang, and it's like the dog came through the door with their tail down and
Yep.
said, we spent an exorbitant amount of money. What a lesson we learned. Can you help us from where we are today?
Yep. Yep. And to your point, I experienced the same thing. Wow, 10 years ago, 12, something like that. Same situation where somebody left and came back like 2 months later. Hey, welcome. How's it going?
And I think it goes back to the communication and what I've said, all along. You don't burn a bridge, God bless them, move on. And there's so many the world is so big. The globe is so full of so many people that need our help, that let them go. And if they come back, great. If they don't, great. Either
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. I believe, and your thoughts on this, a lot of times when a client leaves for whatever reason, maybe they were bought out by a bigger one, but there was still some key people within that company that you worked with. That many times we we have X syndrome, where many relationships, when they end, your personal relationships, that it's an X. I'm done. I'm not going back there. No, where you should still keep that open line of communication, because you formed that relationship over a period of time. You watered the plant, and okay, so maybe the plant withered a little bit, and maybe they went with somebody else or whatever it is, but you still invested in them. So you need to keep that. Yeah, I guess it's the don't burn the bridge. Continue it. Keep that bridge going there, because you never know what's going to happen. They may even refer you to somebody else. You never know.
It happens all day long. I met
Yeah.
a client introduced me to a young gal down at the marina a couple of years ago, 4 years to be exact. And so I had lunch, and I was doing a mini training. Back then I had this big 46-foot boat, and just doing my deal. And this gal was at the marina, introduced. And so who calls me? But 2 days ago, I don't even remember giving the woman my contact information. And she said, "Hey, I met you through so and so, and we discussed that this day. Do you have any availability to give me that 30-minute free comp that you can look at what I'm doing?" And so I'm thinking it's all in the communication. I forgot her, right?
Mm.
But she was smart enough to put my contact information into her phone. And, shame on me. I should have had it in mine. And so, even we kind of picked up where we went off. And I think in today's world, in building organizations, people have to be on the same page. You've got that 20% rule where 20% are going to be with you. They're all on board. They're all excited. You're all on the same page. Then you have that 50% over there that, they're going to think about. And you got that 30% who are resistors. And I think in developing any business today, whether it is big corporations all the way down to the entrepreneur, I think everybody has their hands full learning to communicate, and not only just communicate, but to understand who you're talking to, what makes them tick, how do they understand what you're saying, so everybody's effective and so everybody can be on the same page.
Is there a rule of thumb in your mind how often you should engage with call it your I call them P1, primary one clients, the close ones. And you have some others floating out there, not that they should be ignored ever. But where to the point where you don't want to annoy them, but you want to show them some love and that you're on their radar. How often should you engage with them?
My perspective on that is this, and I think this is one reason I've been successful. So you've got the smaller guy out there, a client. You do some things for them, but then you've got the big ones that pay the big money.
Mm-hmm.
I got news for everybody. I spend equal time with everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's kind of a school of thought there. The itsy bitsy guy over there could decide to do more,
or
and they're
refer
going to
you.
know. Oh yeah, or refer me, right? And then you got the big guy, because they're I don't it to me it's not based on dollar amount what they're paying me, that everybody's valuable and it's an equal opportunity playing field.
It's it's all opportunity is what it comes down to. There's an opportunity with the small person because you never know. They could spend more. They could connect you. Let's go granular. When you're making those connections, those touches every once in a while, just to stay on the radar of your clients, and maybe not, maybe just people that you met, they're in your circle. You just want to make sure you're on their page because you never know. They may hear of somebody that needs you. How often should you do it and how should you do it? What do I mean by that? So let's say you had a client and they went away. Good relationship with them, but they went away, whatever. Wasn't a bad parting. Let's say they had a company, a bigger company took them over. Now they're doing some other stuff. But things have changed. Is it reasonable just to reach out with a text every, month, couple of months, or whatever? Say, hey, how's it going? And just check in with them. Should it be an actual make the phone call, even though they didn't know you were calling? And now they look down. It's like, oh, I got a call from Debra. Or what should you do? How should you do it?
Well, I'm a relationship woman, so that relationship means more to me than anything. And I was always taught, and I teach my clients, know your clients better than you know your own product or your service. And so when I have a client, I know their birth dates. I know when their husband was born. I know if they got dogs or cats or kids and they're in college. How far does their mother-in-law live from them? And I have a database. And so I do send out birthday notes. I periodically maybe see something on Facebook, and then I send them a note saying, hey, I saw this. You're doing a terrific job. Love to touch base with you. What's new? Drop in and visit with me sometime on the phone. And so we don't flood people, but in every businesswoman's, in everybody's day, everybody's got an extra 5, 6, 7 minutes to look at their database and see who you haven't talked to. I work off the old time, tickle file. Haven't talked to them in 3 months. I'm going to drop in and just say hi. How was the solar eclipse? Where were you guys? What's going on?
How are you doing that? Is it just it's a simple text in those instances? Okay.
It's either a text, it's going to be an email, and depending on my time frame, because I love to hear their voice. I cannot discern anything from anybody if I don't hear their voice because I'm so auditory.
I did like I love what you say all the time, but knowing your clients, obviously, if you can get to the point where you know their kids' names, you know who's going to school, you know the whole situation, but also knowing their MO. So let's say it's a surgeon and him getting a phone call, even from his brother, would be like, oh God, I can't get this call now. I'm in surgery. Oh boy. But just to send the text, if you know them, then there's others that, have lots of free time. So if you have that time to pick up the phone and maybe they won't answer, then follow up with a text. But to your point, it's knowing them. It's knowing what makes them tick.
I have a client that is a surgeon. And um, he is new to practice. He's very good. He's located in St. Louis. And I've worked with, training his staff, what to say, what not to say. I come from a whole
Hmm.
family of doctors. So that clinical thing and the
Oh,
PR, comes, second nature to me. So I've trained, one of his nurses to do his follow up. Not only the follow up from a clinical standpoint, you had your surgery 3 days ago, how you doing? But to reach out to other physicians and to do some of the conversation with, the drug reps, because we're creating that new thing there with him. We're creating that brand, and I want him to, he's top notch in his field. Now we want everything warm and friendly and so approachable for everybody else.
and I think I shared with you, I have a marketing company as well, a lot of in the healthcare area. And I have to pass your name on because I deal with this all day long, the office staff. We even
Oh
monitor
Lord.
calls.
Oh Lord.
We even monitor their calls. They're spending money on leads. They get the lead from whatever means, whatever channel, and listening to the calls. It's just like you just let one die on the vine. Like you need to, and that is the biggest challenge right now I'm seeing is the office staff dealing with the public. It's just not good.
Well, medicine has changed radically. Healthcare has changed radically, and we've gone into this. I don't know, this cookie cutter thing. I
Yeah,
detest. I was brought
I'm,
up by old school.
I got
Everything
you.
was done a little bit differently, and so I think in today's world, physicians, along with dentistry, they have to do things different inside the hub of their office that is unlike the corporate medicine going on over there. And they're
Yeah,
going to attract more patients, they're going to keep more patients, and they're going to get referrals. Because the rest of it
absolutely.
sucks. The rest of it sucks.
Horrible. I got you. It's just frustrating. You just want a person on the phone when you call your doctor's office. The one plus I will say, and it's a simple one, where you get text reminders of your upcoming appointment. I like that.
Oh
And
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
and you can cancel if you want to. So you don't need to get them on the phone. You can just put a N. Will you be
Yeah,
attending this
right.
appointment? Very convenient. I like that. Aside from that, we all want to talk to somebody. We're all unique. We have different situations.
Well, I mean, today we're just, the United States is we're just like a herd of cattle.
Mm,
We got a number, birth date.
yeah.
Who's your insurance company? There is a lot of not necessarily a lack of empathy. There's a lack
Personalization.
of there's a lot lack of kindness, and there is no personalization anymore.
There isn't. Case in point, a very close friend of mine does medical billing for a big medical company in this area. Doesn't like the job. I see what's going on. I see the culture. She shows me the emails, how they treat people. They're just not nice. So she has a pacemaker. She's young and needed the pacemaker switched out. This was last week. And she went to them and said, I'm going to need some time off. And they had their nurse take a look at it and say, yeah, you know what? Take 4 days. You're good. And she's like, I've got stress. I've got anxiety. And here's the best part. Yeah, and she's going to go to her doctor tomorrow, and she's been lightheaded now. She's like, I think I need more time. Here's the best part. Her mother asked her yesterday, did anybody from your job even check in and see how you're doing? No,
Mm-hmm.
not a call, nothing, nothing. Because
Mm-hmm.
just like you said, you're just a number, a herd of cattle. Horrible,
Mm-hmm.
horrible. And guess what? And guess what? And I'm just bringing this up to illustrate. If that's how a company's treating their staff and communicating with their staff, How are they communicating with their patients, their clients, all of that?
Well, I mean, it's bupkis. I mean, it just doesn't work. And
Yeah.
the outside can only grow as the core is, and if the core is rotten, um,
Mm,
not going to work, and people are going to go elsewhere.
I love that. The core is rotten. That's a $50 Debra term right there. Uh, Other suggestions for communication in general? Anything come to mind for you?
Well, I think becoming effective. Um, a lot of people have a lot of. I think they anticipate a bad outcome, so they don't communicate. Because it goes back to what's in the head, what's between the ears, and I
Mm.
think people have to get past themselves. People, I'm going to shoot straight. They need to grow up. They need to understand. And I'm not being mean. I'm just
I am.
saying that in order to get it done, you have to be authentic. You got to be honest, and you have to communicate, or there is a space. And if that space is not filled, something ugly is going to come in there and it's going to inhabit it. And then nothing works right.
And overcome your fear. And what you said goes back to what we started with, where there are a lot of account executives out there that don't reach back to their clients because they don't want to hear anything negative. They don't want to hear the client say, "Yeah, we're cutting back," or whatever the fear is. Have to have that faith and overcome that fear. And that's something you do
And
in your tried and true strategies.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but fear stands for false evidence
It's
appearing
appearing
real.
real. It's my favorite one. I got it. Yeah. 93% of the things we worry about never transpire. Check that research. Um, I say that all the time, but it's real to us when we fear it.
It is
Um,
it is real.
yeah,
And I think, people just have to learn, the learning curve. Say what I won't do that again. I should have asked, or I should not have said. But if they're not out there practicing talking and communicating consistently on a regular basis, they're not going to learn that skill set.
they're not. What they are going to learn is a valuable lesson. They're going to lose clients.
Yeah, ouch.
Yeah. And I just had a thought in terms of automation. I love your suggestion to be timely. Hey, how'd you guys survive the eclipse? What did it look like to you? But even if you don't have the time and you set aside an hour one day and you send emails that, they're not going to be super timely, but you're just checking in and you're real and authentic about it, you could schedule those emails to go out in a month
Oh,
from now.
absolutely. I mean, we are so automated, and all you have to do is want to do it, because when we want to do something, we get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you want to make a change and move your career forward, this is the woman right here. I always love your insight. I'm going to try and be honest with you. I love how you get to it. I'm going to be honest again. I'm going to say the word. You don't take crap. You get right to it. There's no excuses. If you want to succeed, just move forward. And that all starts with people reaching out to you. Your website is your name, right? Debra Rothschild.com. Do I have that right?
You got it right.
Yeah, Debra. My apologies for my candor here and just being honest, but that's what I detect from you. But that's what makes you so good.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you what. I don't believe that we can go anywhere if we lollygag and if we don't address said issues. I do it with love. I do it with excitement, and I've
Sure.
got the faith to believe that it can be done.
Yep. And you've done it for many others. So apparently it works. Thank you for today. Thanks you for all the ideas
Thank
and the
you.
insight. Yeah, appreciate it. And we'll talk soon. Okay.
Yes, sir. Bye bye.
I'll check in with an email soon, by the way. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.